the breaking of the water from the heavens above, from the fountains below, and then the fire. He said. Oh, and by the way, the context of that, days of Noah, days of Lot, is nobody will care. It'll be just like it was in the days of Noah. It'll be just like it was in the days of Lot. And guess what? Nobody will care. Mockers and scoffers. Above all, you must understand this. In the last days, there will be mockers and scoffers following their own evil desires, denying the coming of the Lord God Almighty. Sound familiar? By the way, speculation from some meteorologists that what happened in Kerrville, that what happened there and a couple other places in the U.S., it didn't come from atmospheric rivers and all that. It came from aquifers that bust open. And it's literally the fountains of the deep being loosed again because they can't account for that much water. Even with all the hills and the valleys and the tributaries and all the different water tables and the systems and how these things pull together, they couldn't account for it. They're like, we think because the poles have wandered 5.17 miles in the last month, that the earth is literally fracturing open from the inside out. That's where the water is coming from. Nahum 1 talks about how the Lord's way is in the whirlwind and the storm, and clouds are the dust of the feet, and how mountains quake before him, and the hills melt at the sound of his presence, and from his wrath comes fire, water, then fire. He is in the whirlwind and the storm and the clouds, and he shakes the mountains at the sound of his rebuke, at the snort of his nostrils, and every mountain's moved from its place, and every island is moved from its place, because it is God. It is not their directed energy weapons. They have just welcomed God to come and say, do your worst, God. We'll do ours, you do yours. We'll show. That's literally what they do. They gather in the Valley of Megiddo, into the millennium, I'm not talking about right now, right? And they gather and they lift their weapons skyward. They say, do your worst, Jesus. We'll meet you on the field of battle. God says, I think it's Nahum, maybe it's Zephaniah, don't quote me on that. He says the same thing to them. He goes, you do your worst, bro. Are you done yet? Are you done sacrificing the children? Are you done manipulating my creation? Are you done making war against me? Are you done with your wickedness and your perversions and all your wicked machinations? What you're doing in the deep underground military bases and everywhere else? Are you done, church, with your apostasy and your Eastern mysticism and your witchcraft and your necromancy, Bethel and Hillsong? Are you done? Okay, now it's my turn. The earth has begun shaking. It's breaking open. It's erupting in ways that we cannot account for. 400 earthquakes on Mount Rainier alone this week. All the Northwest volcanoes are waking up, including undersea volcanoes, and they don't want you to know the data. They should be evacuating the Northwest. The Columbia River Gorge, all the way from the Juan de Fuca Plate, all the way down to Southern California and everything else in between. The Cascadia subduction zone is getting ready to go, and all the volcanoes associated with it, and they know it. Did you know Creed, Colorado is the largest caldera on North America, and it's rumbled back to life, and they thought it was completely dormant in the last 2 months? Did you know that? That the entire area of Creed, Colorado right there is a giant collapsed volcanic dome? That's why it looks the way it does. And they're like, dude, we thought it was dormant. Go look it up and read articles on it. We thought it was dormant and it's rumbling back to life. Did you know that? Did you know that there's things happening in Yellowstone that they can't account for? But they don't want to wreck tourist season, so they're not letting you know? I'm not saying Yellowstone's going to blow or anything. I'm just saying the earth is literally reeling. Indonesia, I'm still talking about the last 2 weeks. 400 earthquakes over here, 1,500 earthquakes in Japan. 2 different volcanoes began erupting in the last week in Japan alone. Indonesia, a volcano began erupting. Kilauea began erupting. California has earthquakes at the Salton Sea and on the West Coast that they can't account for. Pacific Northwest, earthquakes everywhere. Undersea volcanoes are erupting. Vents are breaking open in the middle of plains. Guatemala had earthquakes that created landslides. Crete is breaking apart. New Zealand, earthquakes all over the place. Africa, the earth crust this week literally split open, and lava began coming out in a previously unknown place in a way that they call a rhythmic pulse. And it's the convergence of the Ethiopian plate and the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. That shouldn't be lost on you, where all these plates are converging. Right smack there, and the earth is breaking open in real time this week. Strange lightning in Italy, sprites coming off the earth, sprites coming down to the earth, the International Space Station recording the strangest anomaly ever because all the electrical charges that are coming because of what's happening on the earth all this week. Plasma balls of lightning, those are the craziest thing I've ever seen. Have you ever seen a plasma ball of lightning? It literally looks like Sonic the Hedgehog rolling across meadows and across farms, these plasma balls of lightning bigger than a beach ball. This week, northern lights seen as far as Florida because of what's happening in the magnetosphere and everything else. Isaiah 24 says this, see, the Lord is going to lay waste the earth and devastate it, not the global elite. Why do you think he burns all the elements with fire and makes all things new? Because they ain't his anymore. Listen, the mosquitoes aren't his. The cows aren't his. The chickens aren't his. Your cheese isn't his. Your tomatoes, your grapes, your watermelon, your whatever, it's all GMO. Genetically modified as it was in the days of Noah. All flesh was corrupted in those days. So shall be the coming of the Son of Man. You, the majority of humanity, are no longer his, created in his image. Because even at a genetic level, they go, that's not his image. We created him in our image. And by the way, they're just getting started. That's why he burns all the elements with fire. The trees, the plants, the grass, the air, the atmosphere, none of it's his. He's like, I didn't make that. They did. And now I'm coming. Isaiah 24. See, the Lord is going to lay waste the earth and devastate it. He will ruin its face and scatter its inhabitants. It will be the same for priest as for people, for masters as for servants, for the mistress as for her servant, for the seller as for the buyer, for the borrower as for the lender, for debtor as for creditor. Everybody will be affected exactly the same way. That's what it's saying. The earth will be completely laid waste and totally plundered. The Lord has spoken this word. The earth dries up and withers. The world languishes and withers. The heavens languish with the earth. The earth is defiled by its people. They have disobeyed the laws. They have violated the statutes. They have broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore, a curse consumes the earth, and its people must bear their guilt. Therefore, earth's inhabitants are burned up, and very few are left. Then he says this. This is Isaiah. But I said, I waste away. Woe to me, God! The treacherous betray, terror and pit and snare await you, all people of the earth. Whoever flees from the sound of terror will fall into the pit. Whoever climbs out of a pit will be caught in a snare. Birth pains. Did you hear that? The birth pains. Once they start, they will only ever increase in both frequency and intensity. Amos 5 says the same thing. Woe to you who long for the day of the Lord. Don't you know what that day is going to be like? It'll be like a man who escapes a lion only to meet a bear, who escapes a bear only to rest his hand against a wall and be bit by a snake. That's what it's going to be like. Birth pains. The water is broken. Boom, boom, boom. It never stops. It just keeps marching out.